In the beginning, before the creation of the universe, the Celestials were born, including Arishem the Judge, who created the first sun and brought life to the universe. Life begins, develops, everything is in balance. Until a predatory species rose from the far reaches of outer space, they were deviants. Deviants hunt humans and upset the balance of the universe. Arishem the Judge did not remain silent. He then created immortal heroes from the planet Olympia. They are Eternals. Eternals itself consists of 10 individuals, namely, Akaris, Circe, Kango, Druig, Sprite, Makari, Gilgamesh, Thena, Pastos, and their leader, Ajak. They rode in a rectangular plane, named Domo. Eternals arrived in Mesopotamia, precisely in 5000 BC. They attacked the deviants who ate humans, because at that time, humans were not yet familiar with technology. Eternals members have different abilities. One of them, Akaris, emits laser energy in both eyes, tough, and also agile. Makari, the super speed. Kingo creates explosive energy in his 2 fingers. Gilgamesh, the super arm. Thena creates shields and spears. Sprite manipulates shadows. Mind control Druig. Pastos creates human intelligence. Ajak heals wounds. And Circe, who can turn the molecules of solid matter into what he wants. Circe then approached the little boy and gave him a golden dagger. They decided to stay on Earth and protect humans. And their journey begins. At present, in London, Circe now works as a teacher, accompanied by her boyfriend, Dane Whitman. They are teaching about the life of living things.
Predators do hunt their prey for food, like all predators.
While teaching, suddenly an earthquake came, making them all panic. Circe then ordered the children to hide under their desks, but one of the children hid under an artifact. Circe, who saw this, spontaneously turned the artifact into sand with her power. After some time, the earthquake finally disappeared. The scene moves on to Dane Whitman's residence. Dane is celebrating his birthday with Circe and also his friends. Dane and Circe seem to really enjoy the party. However, on the other hand, Sprite, who disguised herself as an adult woman, didn't like it. When the party was over, Dane gave Circe an ancient ring that he had kept for centuries from his previous parents. Dane said that Circe was a special person, who had powers like a witch. Then, Circe says that he is one of the members of the Eternals. While their conversation was going on, Sprite appeared and took Circe home. Later, Dane drove Circe home with Sprite. They walked by the river near the city of London. They were shocked by the appearance of the deviants, because previously, for centuries, deviants had never been seen. Circe then has the sprites look after the Danes. Dane, who was worried about Circe, finally caught up with Circe along with Sprite. Sprite manipulates his and Circe's shadows. But the deviants, not to be fooled by this, managed to find the sprite's true body. The captured sprites were then rescued by Akaris, who came from nowhere. Akaris attacks the deviants, cornering him.
Evening, ladies.
When Akaris is off guard, the deviants attack him until he is hit by a passing truck. In order to save the truck driver, Circe turns him into flour flakes. The enraged Akaris attack the deviants again and again until finally, the deviants chose to retreat.
Icarus.
The commotion drew local residents to come. The sprites, with their powers, made them all disappear. Elsewhere, Circe and Dane meet. Circe says that he is a member of the Eternals, created specifically to exterminate deviants, and for 5,000 years, Circe was married to Akaris before finally separating. Scene shifts in Circe's apartment. Circe, Akaris, and the sprites were talking about this afternoon's earthquake, and linking it to the appearance of the deviants. They remember that, in Babylon, in the year 575 BC, the Eternals managed to kill the last deviants. Then, in 400 AD, Circe married Akaris, which was witnessed by members of the Eternals. Back to the present, in South Dakota. The three decide to look for other Eternals members. They went on a trip home. They were surprised that Ajak was found in such a deplorable condition. All of a sudden, a magical ball goes out and enters Circe's body. which means, invites him to entrust the leadership of the Eternals to Circe. Scene goes back to 1521 AD, in Tenochtitlan. There was a big war going on between the local population and the invaders. In the midst of the war, there was a small child who was almost crushed by a giant statue. Makari, with her superpowers, manages to save the child and returns to the other members of the Eternals. Ajax prohibits its members from interfering in human affairs. An angry Druig said that all of this was because of humans. On the other hand, Thena remembers her past, which made her out of control. Thena then attacks Circe and Makari. Until finally, Thena was successfully paralyzed by Ajax with the help of Gilgamesh, which made Thena faint. When Thena woke up, Ajax asked Thena to erase all of his memories, but Thena refused with consideration for Gilgamesh, who said that he was ready to take care of Thena. Finally let him go. The atmosphere became chaotic when Druig got angry and blamed humans as the mastermind behind Eternal's current problems. Druig told Ajax, if he wants to stop him, then just kill me. Then, the Druig used his powers to stop the humans from fighting. This incident made Ajax decide to split up, and the Eternals members also lived their own lives. Back to the present, in Mumbai. Kingo is now a Bollywood artist, accompanied by his assistant, Karan Patel. Circe, Akaris, and Sprite then invite Kingo back to Eternals. At first Kingo refuses, until he gets advice from his assistant, Karun Patel, who makes him realize and want to rejoin Eternals. The journey begins. Kingo then boarded his private plane and headed for the next place, at Gilgamesh and Thena's residence. On the plane, Kingo ordered Patel's treasure to record it. Kingo reasoned that this was all for documentation. Finally, they arrived in the vast desert of Australia. They met Gilgamesh, who was baking bread. Then, Akaris told Gilgamesh that Ajax had died. Hearing that, made Gilgamesh sad. Then, their gaze turned to Thena, who was painting strange pictures under the tree. Gilgamesh then escorted them all to Thena. The uncontrolled Thena attacks the members of the Eternals. Luckily, with the illusion that the sprites created, Thena finally came to her senses. They then have lunch together. Circe, realizing something with Thena's painting, then came out and examined the painting. Circe asked Gilgamesh about the meaning of the painting. Then Gilgamesh says that Thena used to say earthquakes are the beginning of destruction. A confused Circe then used her magic orb to connect to Erisham. Circe asked about the earthquake that occurred in London this afternoon. Erisham said that all of that was the effect of the awakening of a new celestial named Tiamat. Over the past 1 billion years, Erisham has planted seeds across all planets. The planet is then destroyed, and now it's Earth's turn. Erisham also explained, before the Eternals, Erisham first created the deviants. Because an error occurred in its creation, causing the deviants to evolve and causing Erisham to lose control of the deviants. To make up for all that, Erisham fixed all his mistakes by creating Eternals. Actually, the planet Olympia doesn't exist. What is there is a special place where Eternals were first created. When the Eternals are successfully created, the Eternals will pass through a large wall in front of him, which makes his mind reset. Because of that, Eternals cannot remember that place. Circe, who got the information, then explained it to the other members of the Eternals. They finally discussed it. Gilgamesh, who got the idea, said, Druig with his power can control the celestial Tiamat's mind and sleep it forever. They then went to Druig's place, in a small village in the middle of the Amazon jungle. Druig was happy to see the Eternals had returned. Eternals then explained his true purpose to Druig's place. Druig then took the Eternals to where Druig used to teach. They also discussed. At that moment, Karun Patel records it, which disturbs Druig. Druig then approached him. With his powers, Druig easily controlled the mind of Patel's treasure. Spontaneously, Karun Patel threw his camera away until it shattered. This incident made Kingo angry and almost fought Druig. Druig, who was annoyed, finally left the place. Scene shifts, while the Eternals are walking around the village. Suddenly, deviants appear and attack them. Achares is under flying by one of the deviants, while talking with Circe. The Eternals then use their respective powers. Gilgamesh, who was with Thena, told him not to fight and to hide under a tree. Gilgamesh also fights with the leader of the deviants, namely Crow. Meanwhile, Achares takes care of the other deviants above. When Circe was attacked by one of the deviants, Circe was spontaneously able to turn the deviants into trees. The incident made the other members of the Eternals shocked, because before, Circe could only change solid objects. On the other hand, Gilgamesh, who saw Thea was in danger, then tried to help her. However, Crow caught him and took his powers, so that Crow grew stronger and evolved like a human. Before he died, Gilgamesh told Thena to always remember him, because he didn't want his good memories with Thena to disappear. The sad Thena then looked at Crow. Crow tells Thena that he will avenge the death of the other deviants. At the same time, Achares came to attack Crow, but Crow chose to retreat. Gilgamesh's death makes the members of the Eternals sad. They finally made a funeral ceremony for Gilgamesh. It's morning. Circe along with Druig sees Thea in the river. Thena, apparently, is not happy with Gilgamesh's death. Sadly, Thena throws Gilgamesh's ashes into the river. Circe, who was with Druig, took advantage of the opportunity to persuade Druig to return to the Eternals. With a mature thought at last, Druig was willing to return to the Eternals. Druig told Circe that what he needed right now was his last member, Pastos. Because with his strength, he was able to design a tool that could later be used to put Tiamat to sleep. Back in 1945 in Hiroshima, the technological advances that Pastos created made the whole city destroyed because humans created nuclear bombs. Pastos regretted himself and promised not to help humans in advancing technology, let humans learn and discover their own technology. In present-day Chicago, Pastos Sakurang lives with his adopted son named Jack and his good neighbor named Ben. Pastos is happy to see his members back. Then Pastos took Circe and Achares to his house. Circe and Achares invite Pastos to join Eternals again, but Pastos refuses. He reasons that later Jack will not be taken care of. Ben's neighbor Pastos suddenly comes and offers that he is ready to look after Jack. Finally, all members of the Eternals returned. Pastos takes Eternals to Iraq where Pastos keeps his airship, Domo. Pastos, who found the point of the plane's location, immediately took it out. Inside the plane, the Eternals are surprised to find that Makari, who has been missing, is actually living in the plane. They started discussing. Pastos has a plan with the power that Druig has. Druig can completely control the Eternals, meaning Druig will have full control over the Eternals, which later Druig will use the power of each Eternals to lull Tiamat to sleep. However, Achares refuses and chooses to leave. The scene moves to 6 days ago. It turns out, Achares has already met Ajax before Circe and Sprite. Ajax tells Achares everything about Tiamat's resurrection. Ajax also orders Achares to look for other members of the Eternals. Achares then said that he had a surprise for Ajax. Finally, they both arrived in Alaska. Achares shows Ajax that all along, the deviants have been trapped under a frozen ice cave. Achares says that actually Ajax doesn't deserve to be a leader for the Eternals because according to him, he is stronger than the other members of the Eternals. Invite those who feel guilty, without a fight, to throw themselves into the deviants' herd. The deviants then attacked him, with little resistance. In the end, Ajax was defeated and his strength was taken by Crow, the leader of the deviants. With Ajax's power, Crow transforms the other deviants into stronger forms. Achares then brings Ajax to his house. Achares seems to blame himself for Ajax's death. Back to Circe. Circe, who received the signal, immediately informed the Pastos about it. Pastos then looked for the location of his resurrection, and ordered Makari to confirm. Makari informed that Tiamat's revival was in the volcano. Pastos then devised a new tool as a link between the Eternals later. However, Achares arrives and destroys it. That incident made the other Eternals angry. Achares said that he had been lying all along. He already knew about Tiamat's resurrection before Ajax at the time the Eternals were in Babylon. Kingo doesn't accept this, but Kingo realizes that Achares is much stronger than him. Akaris let the Eternals make their own choice. The sprites, who had the same fate as Akaris, chose to side with him. Finally, Akaris and the sprites left the place. The atmosphere became chaotic. Circe chose to go to Thena's place. Circe said that she did not deserve to be a leader. But Thena convinced Circe that inviting Circe to be chosen was definitely for a reason. Pastos, who realized something, then looked for Circe. Pastos explained. The magic orb that belonged to Circe, which was previously used as a link to Arishem, he could design as a link to Eternals. Without coercion, Circe accepted. Pastos immediately designed it, so that with his intelligence, Pastos succeeded in turning the magic ball into a bracelet. Now Eternals is ready. They arrive at the volcano. There, Akaris seeks to destroy their mission. Thena, who was trying to restrain Akaris, couldn't block him, due to the difference in strength she had. Akaris, realizing this, immediately went to the place of the Eternals. There, Akaris saw Druig and the other Eternals starting their mission. Akaris knows that the one controlling the mission is Druig. Akaris attacks him. As a result, their mission is delayed. The atmosphere became tense, because the signs of Tiamat's appearance were increasingly visible. An angry Makari attacks Akaris, assisted by Thena and Pastos, while Circe runs towards the volcano. At the same time, Kiro came out of nowhere. Kiro watches Akaris fight with Thena and Pastos. Kiro then attacks Akaris, Thena as well as Pastos. Kiro ran into the cave, caught up with Thena. Pastos, who saw Akaris running away, used his technological sophistication to pull and tie Akaris up. Back to Circe. Circe, who is almost there, is confronted by an illusion of a sprite that resembles the previous leader of the Eternals, Ajak. Circe knows, this is the doing of the sprites. With this illusion, Sprite managed to stab Circe. Sprite said that he was jealous of the other members of the Eternals, because he was the only one who couldn't grow up like a normal human. Suddenly, from behind, the sprite was hit in the head with a rock by Druig, which caused him to faint. Druig told Circe to continue his journey back to the foot of the volcano. Back to the cave, Kiro managed to make Thena remember Gilgamesh, which made her unconscious. Kiro took advantage of the moment to absorb his power. However, Thena came to her senses and slashed Kiro's neck. On the volcano, Circe saw Tiamat's celestial body increasingly visible. Panicked Circe used her power to freeze Tiamat. On the other hand, angry Akaris managed to escape from the Pastos bonds. Akaris then went to where Circe was. When he got there, Akaris saw Circe freezing Tiamat's body. Akaris, who wanted to attack Circe, remembered the good times with him. Finally, the Eternals connected with each other. With the power of the Eternals, the celestial Tiamat was successfully frozen. Now the Earth has been saved. Akaris, who realized his mistake, chose to leave. Circe, who still has a little power, offers Sprite to become a normal human. Two weeks later, Eternals is doing activities as usual. Pastos manages to repair his plane, which was previously destroyed by Akaris. Makari and Druig chose to leave Earth, while the other members of the Eternals chose to stay on Earth. Until one day, Arishem summoned the Eternals on Earth. They suddenly disappeared.
I will spare them, if they are worthy to live.
The film ends with the emergence of a new Eternals named Eros, who knows the existence of the lost Eternals.